Ryan, are the side dishes ready? Yes. All that's left is to add the sauce right before serving. Good. Yes, it tastes great. Well done. Thank you very much. My name is Ryan. I'm currently training at a French restaurant. I've never forgotten the atmosphere of the French restaurant we visited as a family when I was a child, which inspired me to pursue this career. As a child, the atmosphere of a formal French restaurant felt quite stiff. Yet, within its subtly thrilling atmosphere, I found warmth. The dishes, unlike hamburgers or fried chicken, had intricate decorations. Each dish presented a different flavor profile. It was like stepping into a world of paintings. I pretended to go to the bathroom and snooped around the restaurant. Everything was immaculately organized, and I was simply overwhelmed. Only the kitchen was bustling and chaotic. The party of 5 in the private room has arrived. The main dish is ready. Pull up 5 fish from the tank and prepare them. Even the most graceful swan paddles frantically under the water. These people were creating this wonderful place. Seeing this as a child thrilled me. And that's when I decided on my future dream. I wanted to become a chef so badly that I didn't go to college but instead started as an apprentice at a French restaurant. The first few years were filled with dishwashing. I wasn't even allowed to prep the ingredients. Honestly, there were times I almost gave up. But I kept at my training and eventually was trusted to handle the side dishes. The once stern-faced head chef, Walter, now praises my seasoning. I am definitely making improvement. That made me very happy and proud. I have a brother who is 3 years older. His name is Charles. We look somewhat alike, being brothers, but he chose a completely different path. He graduated from a prestigious university and now works at a well-known company. He's what you'd call an elite. Not only is he smart, but he's also popular and admired by his peers. Having such a brother was a great support. And I admired him. I used to follow him around, mimicking everything he did. He probably found me endearing. He took care of me without any complaints. But at some point, a distance grew between us. Why start working? Shouldn't you go to college? You're just running away because you don't want to study, aren't you? Because I want to become a chef. You can't train in cooking at a college, can you? Being a chef. Ryan, are you serious? How are you going to live your life without a college degree? Think about it seriously. I am thinking about it. After thinking it over, I've decided this is what I want to do. It seems Charles doesn't like the idea of me pursuing a career as a chef. Every time we meet, he persistently complains. What about your exam studies? I've told you, I'm not studying. I'm going to work. I've said it many times, but I'm going to be a chef. You're still talking in your sleep? Becoming a chef is impossible. Don't use it as an excuse to run away from exams. I'm serious about this. I wonder. You're just saying that to avoid facing reality. What do you mean you want to be a chef? Ugh. Being ridiculed for my dream was more than I could bear. Angered, I finally said what I had been thinking to him. What about you, bro? You got into a good university, but what are you going to do with that? Have you decided what you want for your future? He fell silent, as if I had hit him where it hurts. He always seemed to outdo me. There might have been a thrill in besting him this time. I had said too much. You're just jealous that I'm pursuing my dream. Mom and Dad always say, you are amazing, and you're just desperately trying to live up to that. Have you even figured out what you want to do or who you want to be? He frowned. I always spoke of becoming a chef, but he had never once talked about his own dreams. He probably knew I was right. He glared at me. His look was full of resentment and jealousy. And then he hit me with harsh words too. The reality isn't so sweet that you can just do what you want and survive. Someone who doesn't go to college can't make it in this world. Remember that. This is how our once close relationship became strained. One day, Charles brought his fiancée home to meet the family. The lady was elegant and beautiful. I had to admit, she was truly a match for Charles. My name is Sophie. She greeted us diligently. Charles had on a smug expression. Our parents seemed to like her too, making for a very successful meeting. She had met Charles through a friend's introduction. She also worked in administration at a well-known company. Though they worked nearby and started seeing each other often, they initially thought they had nothing in common. But she was very considerate and also a good cook. Charles fell hard for her, and that's how they ended up planning to marry. Are you nervous? Not at all. Please don't say weird things. Haha, relax and get comfortable. Oh, I'm fine, really. They made a painfully perfect couple. I watched the two of them interact with a dazed expression. Then, she spoke to me. You're Ryan, the younger brother, right? Ah, yes. I'm Ryan. I look forward to getting to know you. She smiled warmly. This person is going to be my sister-in-law. Thinking this made me smile. However, that good impression was shattered in an instant. Which university did you graduate from, Ryan? Our parents had just left the room. She asked this suddenly. Ah, I didn't go to college. I'm currently training to become a chef. As I responded, she visibly grimaced. Is that so? I heard you were a chef, but I never imagined you hadn't attended university. Her words were laced with thorns. Excuse me for saying this, but since Charles works at a famous company, I assumed you also attended a prestigious university. To think you only finished high school. There's quite a difference between the brothers, isn't there? She gave a meaningful laugh. It was clear she looked down on me. But I am pursuing my dream, and I have skills recognized by the head chef, at least. The shift from a good impression to this was too great. She might be a wolf in sheep's clothing, despite her demure appearance. I couldn't hide my irritation and retorted. Are you with Charles because he graduated from college and works at a famous company? What are you saying, Ryan? Before she could react, Charles scolded me. Ryan, do you see? This is the common perception. These days, people look down on those who only finish high school. If it bothers you so much, why don't you quit being a chef and go to college now? If I've offended you, I apologize. Like Charles said, I was just surprised. Because, well, just high school, you know. Sophie smiled slightly in apology. Her insincere expression was extremely unpleasant. Ryan, you're just doing what you want, so your life must be easy, right? Really? If only everyone could just live doing what they love, how wonderful that would be. The two of them looked at me and laughed mockingly. A few days after Charles introduced his fiancée. Is that Sophie? She came as a guest to the French restaurant where I was training. She was accompanied by an unfamiliar man. The man's appearance was not exactly respectable. He looked like the type who might throw a punch if you bumped into him on the street. Feeling I shouldn't be seen, I quickly hid and watched what was happening. So, when will it be? The deadline is next month, you know? You know what happens if it passes. The interest will just keep increasing. I understand. Well, with your looks, you could probably become popular at a nightclub. The man's sleazy laughter echoed. No way. I was stunned to learn her secret. From what I overheard, it seems she has debts. And they appear to be substantial. Does Charles know about this? As I wondered, a shocking statement reached my ears. Don't worry, I have a way to pay it back. My fiancé earns a lot and is a yes man. I plan to sweet-talk him into arranging the money. You're planning to exploit your fiancé? Poor guy. It's my prerogative how I gather the money, isn't it? Well, that's true. My apologies. My heart nearly burst. I had sensed something off about her, but this was beyond my worst suspicions. Without any hint of remorse, she openly discussed her plan to extract money from Charles with this man. So please, stay away from me. I have a wedding at the end of the month. Someone like you showing up could ruin everything. Indeed, that would be problematic. Thank you for your cooperation. Sophie coldly smiled and left the restaurant without placing an order. Scary woman. The man's involuntary comment made sense. Her true nature was indeed that of a scary woman. After much deliberation, I decided to inform Charles. Our relationship wasn't the best, and I had no obligation to help him, but I couldn't just stand by and let him be deceived. However, as expected, he was reluctant to believe me. "You're just jealous, aren't you? Trying to mess up my marriage, huh? Why would I do something like that? What do I gain from lying about this? I've never seen her act the way you described. How can you expect me to believe this?" "That's what I've been trying to tell you, Charles. You're being used. You should call off the wedding and break up with her now. Oh. And if you doubt it that much, come to the restaurant. She and that guy should be on the security camera." Being informed about the evidence, he had to believe it. I could hear his teeth gritting. "It's really true, isn't it? That's what I've been trying to tell you." It was a harsh truth. I stated it plainly. "Sophie, that woman. She was deceiving me." His anger was palpable even through the phone. It felt like he might crush his phone from the sheer force of his fury. Cautiously, I asked him, "What are you going to do? Break up with her?" "I hate to say it, but Sophie plans to bleed you dry. If you're going to break up, you need to handle it carefully." Ugh. I couldn't help but feel sympathy for his situation. However, I hoped he wouldn't resort to rough tactics. Behind her were some dangerous people. As I pondered this, Charles surprisingly asked me to keep it between us. "Hey, Ryan. Can we keep this just between the two of us?" "Huh? You mean forgive her?" "I'm going to make her regret trying to use me. I need a little time to plan." "All right." After ending the call, I sighed. She's not someone to be taken lightly. The image of her in the restaurant flashed through my mind. I didn't know what Charles was planning, but they continued to prepare for the wedding as if nothing was amiss. Meanwhile, I was constantly worried. Doesn't he believe me? Despite my suspicions, there were no signs of trouble between them. The wedding was now only a day away. Confused by Charles's unreadable intentions, I was startled when she suddenly spoke to me. "What's going on? Did I startle you?" "No, just lost in thought." I laughed it off. However, she seemed indifferent to my discomfort and bluntly stated her business. "I hope this won't upset you, but are you attending the wedding, Ryan?" "Huh. If you do attend, please make sure no one finds out you're just a high school graduate. Many people from Charles's company will be there, as well as my relatives and colleagues. So please, do be careful. We wouldn't want the wedding to be spoiled." Not content with just squeezing money out of Charles, she now aimed to crush my pride as well. My patience snapped. "Then I'll just decline to attend the wedding. That should put you at ease, right?" I delivered the sarcasm as sharply as I could. However, she simply clapped her hands and said cheerily, "That would be helpful, thank you." Watching her leave with a satisfied look on her face filled me with a helpless anger. On the day of the wedding, although I had promised her I wouldn't attend, Charles pleaded for me to come, so I reluctantly agreed to participate. When she saw me at the venue, contrary to our agreement, she glared at me with a look of betrayal, but I simply ignored her. The ceremony concluded without any issues. Then we moved to the reception hall. As Sophie had warned, the venue was crowded with many guests. Probably close to 100. It was fitting for Charles as an elite businessman. While thinking this, I took my seat among our relatives. Just as I was starting to feel weary of the tedious congratulatory speeches, the toast was finally given, allowing us to start eating. Everyone was about to dig into the cuisine of the upscale hotel, wondering about its quality, when a voice interrupted. "Excuse me, please, I need a moment. There's something I must share with everyone." The voice belonged to Charles. As we faced yet another delay, amidst the grumbling crowd, he continued. "I have prepared a slideshow. Please watch." Pointing to a huge screen set up at the back of the hall, he signaled the staff, "Please go ahead." Then, it appeared. What? What is this? Isn't that Sophie? Who's that shady-looking guy next to her? Does Sophie have dealings with shady people? What's going on? An affair? Cheating? The venue buzzed with shock as they viewed the images on the slide. It showed Sophie with the same man I had seen her with at the restaurant. "This woman in the images is undoubtedly her, Sophie," Charles declared. The murmurs grew louder. Confused, embarrassed, and agitated, Sophie shouted, "What is this? What does this mean?" She reached out frantically, trying to grab the microphone from Charles, but she couldn't reach it. Meanwhile, he ignored her and stepped in front of the slides. I accidentally discovered that Sophie was associating with this unsavory man. Upon investigating, I found out that she has debts of $100,000. As you might guess, the man is involved in illegal lending. He pointed to the man in the slide and added, $100,000. Sophie, why? But that's not all. She was scheming to saddle me with her debts. Charles then grabbed documents he had hidden behind the screen, held them high, and then scattered them across the floor. Several reports slid smoothly across the surface, spreading out for all to see. Detective agency's findings. What? This can't be true. Let me see that. The venue turned into absolute chaos. Sophie was nearly hysterical. But as they say, you reap what you sow. Inside, I felt a vindictive satisfaction. And in the midst of this turmoil, Charles once again took the microphone. What she was trying to do could be considered marriage fraud. However, I want to forgive her, he declared. His words brought everyone to a halt. I stared at him in disbelief. Yet he was not joking. His demeanor was serious. I want to forgive Sophie, Charles repeated once again. His tone had completely changed from before, becoming very gentle. The venue fell silent. He looked straight at Sophie and spoke to her. I can't forgive the despicable act of trying to push the debt onto me. But, Sophie, I know why you ended up with a debt of $100,000. Charles took out a photo from his pocket. What? What did he take out? Everyone looked at his hands. As if anticipating this, the screen showed the cute exterior of a cake shop. Sophie, before you joined your current company, you ran a cake shop, right? This shop, right? You worked hard to become a pastry chef and finally managed to own a shop, didn't you? But it didn't go well, and the business failed. You ended up with a debt of $100,000. It must have been tough. Not just financially, but mentally too. But you didn't want to inconvenience the staff who worked with you, so you used your own money to pay 3 months' salary to all the staff. And that's not all. You also looked for a new job for them. It's not something you can do when you're struggling with a shattered dream and a debt of $100,000. He continued speaking while returning to the stage where she was. The real you is such a wonderful person who can be so kind to others. Isn't that right? It was a truth I didn't know. After receiving my report, Charles desperately investigated with the help of experts. He couldn't believe that someone would do something like this without reason. You know, I've always lived my life worrying about what others think. I've been pretending to be a good kid even though I felt stifled. That's why I thought I had to go to a good university and get a good job. He looked away from her and looked at me. That's why I envied Ryan so much. He pursued his dreams. I envied him for being able to freely pursue his dreams. Charles. It was some time ago, right? You told me, you envy me for pursuing my dreams, right? You were right. His face expressed regret. I must have been awful. I was jealous of Sophie too. She must have been working hard every day to pursue her dream, just like Ryan. And then she must have despaired when things didn't go well. And she must have thought of something like this, right? He returned to her side and gently wiped away her overflowing tears. Then, as if proposing, he knelt down, took her hand, and said, I've decided something in my heart because of this incident. I've been neglecting my own will while worrying about what others think. But from now on, I want to value my own will. Like Ryan and the old Sophie. So, Sophie, I will take on your debt willingly. And I want to support you in pursuing your dream of becoming a pastry chef again. After the tumultuous wedding reception, Charles and Sophie apologized to me for mocking my education. I'm really sorry about the educational background thing. I said terrible things. It's okay, really. I was jealous of you too. I envied you for pursuing your dreams, shining so brightly. I'm really sorry. I really do support your dream. I have to apologize properly too. Ryan, I'm sorry for everything. I'm looking forward to you becoming a chef. Charles is indeed a strong ally for me. And now my sister-in-law has joined too. I'll become the best chef ever. I answered proudly. Keep your passport deep in your bag. I know, geez, just like Dad. I'm worried. And make sure you're near the gate 20 minutes early. If you're so worried, why don't you come with Sophie? I have things to do here. While I'm honing my skills as a pastry chef, Charles will work hard in the US and prepare to open a new shop. Wow, are you showing off your good relationship? Hee. Charles paid off her debt in full. Moreover, he even managed to finance her study abroad in Paris to fulfill her dream of becoming a pastry chef. Oh, the security gate is open. Sophie, don't get on the wrong plane. Geez, Charles. I'm sorry. Conversations like this will be put on hold for a while. It feels lonely to think about it. I shouted to her as she passed through the security gate. Chef or pastry chef, it's a competition to see who succeeds first, Sophie. She showed her best smile and nodded vigorously.